Good.
Hello,
Hi.
we're starting. Hello, peeps. We are in Micah study number 4. So this is only a 5 study set of questions. So we did 1, 2, 3. If they're coming in at this time in study number 4, they can go back and see just within the channel the study 1, 2, and 3. And then we had a little bit of encouragement in between, which was last week.
Yes, impromptu encouragement.
Yeah, I was encouraged after. And then this is study number 4, and then we have one last study number 5. Cool.
All too soon. We're coming to the end.
I know, Micah. Like, who would have thought we would be talking about Micah?
Right?
And then
yeah.
We were very apprehensive at the beginning.
Yeah, it's not one of the books I'd ever thought about studying. Like, I didn't even know what it was about. No idea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew it was a prophecy, but
yeah,
that was about it.
The same, like, you rarely hear about the book of Micah, preached in the pulpit or talked about in like small groups or Bible study groups. Like, hey, do you want to go to a book of Micah? Study in the book of Micah. Wait, what? Where is that here? But I'm glad that we did, I'm glad we did Micah. And I'm learning a lot, even though at first it could be intimidating. I think, which is the encouragement that we're trying to do with studying the Bible together, is that it's, the Bible is it's not just used for us to sort of, kind of like backlash at each other. It's really, it could be a beautiful experience to actually read the Bible together. And it's not reserved for any, for the privilege, like those who are well educated and study can only study the Word of God. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah. It's easy to get lost, like for me studying the Bible, sometimes I'm like, where do I start? What do I do? And I find it very helpful when I study the Bible with others. And you especially, it's just like so many insights. I know you're the one who got me into studying my Bible. I never knew how to do that. It was just not a thing for me. I never knew how to start. Like, I picked my Bible, I'm like, this book is so big. I really don't know what I'm doing. And I just close it. But I think you taught me that SOAP method. And ever since then, yeah, life has been good.
Yeah, girl, I'm sure I learned the SOAP method from somebody else too. Like, I'm sure I just adopted that. And several other methods are out there, but you're right. It's different if you do it with somebody else, together.
Yeah.
Like, I also enjoy doing Bible study with you. That's why, like, even though we talked about this, for many years, why don't we just do it, like, post it online? Like, really? And then how many years later? 3 years later?
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, like, okay, we're finally gonna do it because of pandemic. Yeah. So I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so I'm gonna do you want me to read the question that we're gonna talk about today?
Sure.
Yeah, so it's just from study number 4, and the question that we're gonna talk about is okay, sin brings desolation and social breakdown. Do we recognize and grieve over this sad and modern tale? How poetic. Sad and modern tale.
I know, sad and modern tale. I was like, what is going on?
Do our lives, do our lives shine like lights in this situation? So you can go. You gonna go first?
Yeah, sure. I'm just trying to process like the question because Okay, so sin brings desolation and social breakdown. Do you A? So are we going to answer in two parts? Like, should we start with, or do I just go for it?
Whatever. Or even, even if,
Okay.
while reading, you feel like some, I think also we like, starting with what stood out to us just from,
Mm-hmm.
right from the very, um, beginning of like reading it, like, whoa.
Right. Okay. So, okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that because that would be easier. It would be logical for me to process my thoughts that way.
Yeah.
But
Flow.
so yeah, so overview what I got from this, like, so in the beginning, we talked about I like how it starts by saying, like the mountains should be aware, and for posterity's sake, it's almost as if, okay, the mountains are gonna be here, they're not going anywhere. Oh my gosh. Can you hear that wind? Sorry. Um,
No.
oh, you can? Okay, that's good. Never mind. Anyway, so it's like the mountains are gonna be there, and they're not going anywhere. They're going to be witnesses. So generations are going to come and go, and these mountains are going to see what has happened. And it's almost as if, okay, after all of these promises and everything, they're going to be witnesses forever. For every generation that comes, they're going
Right.
to be. I thought it was just really poetic and like just personifying those mountains. And
Yeah. It's like they're
anyways,
gonna
that
testify.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's almost as if he's saying that, which is true because if you think about it, um, every generation that would come after that generation that he was addressing would maybe act like those previous people. And so it's like sort of a reminder to go back and say, okay, like my ancestors did this.
Mm,
And it's something that has, been occurring since time immemorial.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, anyways, but then it goes like God starts to lament, like, what have I done to you? And
Mm,
like, what did I do against you people? Like, have I not helped you enough? Have I not saved you enough? And
mm,
then the prophet is like talking about what God desires, and it's like he doesn't want sacrifices or rituals or whatever. He desires justice and mercy and love.
mm,
um and so he's like telling people it's not as if you don't know what God wants,
mm,
like it's there. And so I just like how it starts and like how God laments, and then um the
mhm,
prophet goes ahead to talk about what God truly desires from people.
mhm.
um so it's like they were doing the complete opposite of what God wanted, ignoring what he truly desired from them.
Mhm.
Is um
Yeah.
anyways, that's six. That's what
Yeah.
I got from six.
You were talking earlier about like, like you're talking about like God like lamenting, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow um for most people like that's like a trigger element for them, like, well, wait, does God like lament? Like sometimes people have a
Yeah,
different perspective of like, well, God is like that.
God
Well, why is
lamenting.
God like that?
Right. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about that?
Well, for me, I mean, I wasn't used to. I don't think I remember. Maybe I have, but I've read other Bible verses where God laments. I think isn't Job? There's like a part of Job where God is like talking about how he has, established all of these things and everything. But I think this one where he's truly pouring his heart out and saying, "Where did I go wrong?" It's like
Mm,
a parent to a kid, like, I've raised you, I've given you everything you need. Like, what more do I have to do? It's just
yeah.
like, and that whole just picturing that and thinking like God is like, just lamenting and saying, what else could I have done? It was
Yeah.
such a, I don't know, a humbling, like a humbling picture for me, just imagining that. And I think that's how I felt reading that verse.
Yeah. And also, I think, part of us is maybe, well, part of that disconnection is maybe because, in general, people have again, understanding of what God is. Like, this is how I can
Right.
fit God in my mind. So if I read something in the Bible that's like not in line with what I placed in my mind who God is,
Mhm.
then it becomes like a struggle. And then you're like, oh wait, like, why is God like that? Then
Yeah.
we question instead of we expand our
Mm.
understanding of who God is instead of trying to put
Yeah.
God in a box. I think what we need
Yeah.
to do is expand it. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, well, let me, you know, um, yeah. And then at least for me, the effect of that is that God is not a distant God. What
Right.
you were saying, like, that's how he feels. Like he
Mm.
felt personally connected, that it was a frustration.
Yeah.
Him
And
when
the fact that
things,
he'd even, come and voice it out, it's like,
yeah.
um, yeah.
So maybe that's another category that we expand and add on, that God is not a distant God, as how God has been portrayed, that influences what we think of who God is. Um,
Yeah.
that is not a
Yeah.
distant God. He is God, but it's also very personal in his approach.
Right. So it reminds me of when I don't know if you remember this conversation, but we talked about Jesus being. Oops, sorry. We talked about Jesus being the lion and the lamb, and
Mm-hmm.
do you remember that conversation where I was like, how, like, what does that even mean? I think I had a hard time grasping it. Like, Jesus being the lion and the lamb, like,
Uh-huh.
it was hard for me to
Mm,
um
to be like both.
understand what it meant, right? To be like
Yeah.
vitality lion, like strong, and poised and everything, and then a lamb, like so innocent, so
Yeah.
vulnerable. um and then I think we had a whole conversation surrounding that, and I think that after that conversation I started to get in touch more with that other side of
Mm.
God. It's like
Oh
he's
yeah,
not just
yeah,
like a boss. He's not just like, he's
yeah.
he tries to love us. He tries to, like, not, I don't want to say come down to a level because that would be a bit blasphemous. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, like he tries to um maybe embody like a form that we can resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm.
and that just, yeah, I think ever since we had that conversation, I started to
Oh,
understand that other side of God. And so when I
yeah,
read this, I wasn't that shocked by it, right? Like I
yeah,
was, it was more like, oh, like this is another opportunity to
right.
just realize that fact.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it takes time too, like, but not,
Mm,
shut it down immediately.
right.
But okay, like, that's how, I mean, stretching happens, or when you're trying to build a
Mm-hmm.
muscle, it doesn't happen like overnight. Like there has to be some kind of repeated, encounter. You have to encounter it, over and over in order to expand that
Yeah,
understanding. I remember that
exactly.
conversation. Is that like an
Yeah.
SPU?
I feel like it. No, I think I was in Dublin. We had a video
Oh,
call. Remember when we're doing Proverbs? The Proverbs
yeah.
Bible
Oh,
study.
yeah. I love
Yeah,
that
that was the
Proverbs.
one. Yeah,
We
that
didn't
was the
finish
one.
the
I clearly
Proverbs,
remember
yeah,
that.
because I went into sabbatical.
Yeah, that
We
was
can go
such a
back.
good Bible study. I
Yeah.
know. I loved it so much.
Yeah. Okay, actually, okay, so there's one point that I want to add on to what you were saying earlier. When the Lord, I think it was, oh wait, I think this is in chapter 6, verse 7. Will the Lord accept 1,000 rams and 10,000 streams of olive oil?
Mm-hmm.
For me, that just signifies like you can, like, this is coming from a very wealthy
Right?
community or family.
Yeah.
You
Like they
know,
have
10,000
everything.
streams of olive oil and like 10,000 rams to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay, here's
Wow,
my
that's a
sin.
lot.
Like, God, please
Mm-hmm.
be accepting of my sacrifices,
Yeah.
right? But then you said, what is good, what the Lord really wants from you. He wants you to carry out justice, to love
Mm-hmm.
faithfulness, and to live obediently before God. I think this
Yeah.
theme of justice, we keep seeing it over and over, through the chapters in our discussion, how, it was established that the people of God were abusing, who eventually became leaders in the community and prophets were abusing the community, who are not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily from the same people group, but just
Yeah.
abusing the position that they have. Right. But he's saying, like, sure, it's very possible that you can pay your offenses
Mm-hmm.
because you have all the money. You have like 1,000 rams and like 10,000s of olive. You can pay your.
Sorry, my light keeps like.
Is it windy there? Is it stormy?
It's stormy, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like,
Wow.
it's so weird that you can hear it because it's like really stormy. Anyway,
Okay. At one point, I heard the wind. At one point, I was like, "Whoa, is
oh,
that
okay. Yeah,
storm?"
it's like stormy outside.
Crazy. So then, yeah. So when people have gotten into a point that they are able to buy their way to
Mm,
forgiveness, you know, does that
yeah.
matter? And God said,
Mm,
"What really wants from you
yeah.
is
Like
justice."
he's redirecting them to the main thing.
Yes, yes. And I think that's still very relevant today.
Yeah.
Um, that
In our modern tale. What was it that they
Yeah,
said?
modern tale.
Modern tale.
We recognize and grieve over this sad and modern tale.
Mm,
Yeah. And then
yeah.
do our lives shine like lights in situations like this?
Mm,
Um, right? Like,
yeah.
I know there's a lot of questions out there about, like justice or social justice. Should we even get involved? I mean, we're just talking about one book from the Bible, and the theme of justice is consistent. God is saying,
Mm,
like, he loves justice.
yeah.
you know yeah. And then, yeah, do our
I,
lives shine like lights in this situation?
mhm.
Okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say that going back to the question, I think the beginning of the question where it says that sin brings desolation and social breakdown. I
Mm-hmm.
was just thinking about chapter 7, where it talks about there's no godly man left.
Mm,
And it's like, and I think in verse 3 says that it's like people are determined to be experts at doing evil. And
wow.
oh my gosh.
Well, what happened?
What
Oh, the
happened? I
lights
don't
turned
know.
off?
That's like my that would be, oh my goodness, that's my computer. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, like powers.
Like, power's off?
Yeah, it's like really stormy outside, and
That's so
I guess that's
crazy.
I. Oh well.
Oh, we can still hear
Actually
you.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can't see me.
No, I can't see you at all. Um, do you have a photo on your
Wait, do
profile?
you want to wrap this? No, I don't. I don't think
Okay.
I do. I've never put like a profile on my thing.
Okay. Because then that would
Um,
just be like, let me see if I can do something on this.
okay.
Yeah, I'll just stop your video so then your name will just appear.
Okay,
So I
good.
can still
That's
hear you. Yes.
yeah. Sorry, it's like crazy outside here.
This is intense. Who would have thought this is gonna happen?
I know. I feel like every week something happens.
Girl.
The devil is a liar. Okay. Anyway,
Distraction.
I can't
Yeah.
see my notes. Yeah. But
Yeah, so
basically what
your
it was
name
saying
is
was
just
that
appearing on your name is just
okay,
appearing. Yeah.
okay. But basically what it was saying is that it talks about how there's no godly person. And I
Mm,
think verse 3, not see my Bible, but I think verse 3 talks about how people are just determined to do evil. And I think the
mm,
whole of that, like 7 to 6 just talks about how, like
mm,
people are doing all of these evil, even like godly men who are supposed to be, doing the Lord's work are not doing God's work. And I think that's the whole theme of Micah, is that people are not
yeah.
doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I think it just brings it
Yes.
back full circle.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me just refer to what you were mentioning earlier. Okay, in chapter
Oh,
7,
so
verse
that's
3, they are
yeah,
experts at doing evil. Government officials and judges takes bribes. Prominent
yeah,
men announce what they wish and then they plan it out. Like you said, we're going back to the first part of Micah, wherein um supposedly the people are of God who are to take care of be good stewards of the leadership platform that they have, are not actually doing what they are supposed to do. In fact, they're doing
yeah.
exactly the opposite of that.
Of what? Yeah, that's true. And then, but then I think it talks about how they just do what they just do things for their own satisfaction.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's verse 4, but it's like just so they can be satisfied, and it's like they're only looking for things that satisfy, money
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how
And then,
like they're not thinking about everyone else, and
right.
they're not loving like God has asked us to.
Yes. They're not carrying out justice. They're not being faithful. And they're obviously disobedient, before God.
Mm-hmm.
And then to just emphasize also that um, sinfulness, uh in chapter 6 verse 10, God is saying, I will not overlook, O sinful house, the dishonest gain you have hoarded away, or the smaller than standard measure I hate so much. I do not
Mm.
condone the use of rigid scales or a bag of deceptive weights. The city's
Yeah.
wealthy people readily resort to violence. Her inhabitants tell lies. Their tongue speaks deceptive words like "Holy moly!"
Oh,
Everything
did you
is
already
just
read that
ramping
part?
up.
Did you already read
Yeah.
that part that said the best of them is like a thorn? The most godly among them are more dangerous than a row of thorn bushes. Like I wrote
Wow.
that down because I think that's verse 4.
Verse 4 of chapter 6. Or of chapter
7.
5, chapter 7. Yeah, the
Yeah.
best of them is like a thorn. Their godly are like a thorn bush. Um, wow. Yeah, and then sometimes you know, if we don't read this part, we would really misunderstand God in so many different levels.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not practicing good judgment, because that's why we have the Bible. Like we have access to actually read it and understand, who our God is. And at the same time, like understand the kind of people we are. Like these are the people who think they
Mhm.
will, who think are on God's sides. And then God shows
Yeah.
them, this is what's happening. And then, like you said, like no one, you know, there's no one godly. And that's also a
Right.
consistent theme
No godly
in the
person.
Bible. Yes. But
Mhm.
then no godly
And even
person.
the most godly people are like corrupt, like that's what it's saying.
Exactly. And what do you think about this sad and modern tale?
It's
I mean,
so prevalent.
right?
It's
Don't we
crazy.
still
Yeah.
hear this today?
Right. Like we're still doing this.
Oh my word. When you said even the most godly, we think is the most godly,
Yeah.
it's just no one, no one is exempted.
Right.
It, but I remember in study number 3, we talk about, there are some frustrations, and also there's like, a hint of hopefulness wherein
Mm,
we're talking about this woman in labor, who will bring forth this hope, a deliverer, a savior. But
yeah.
waiting for that was also sort of like, like a pain, just like a woman in labor.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay, there's a cross reference here that I probably want us to end into about, like, do our lives shine like lights in this situation? It says go to Philippians 2:15. Let's see what it is, and then we can end there.
Okay.
How are you doing? It's so dark, girl.
It is still dark and stormy outside. Like, and I'm just sitting here peacefully sipping my tea, like nothing's happening.
Is your mom gonna come and get you or something? Your sister? Or they're
No,
just gonna
they know
wait for
I'm
you?
fine. Yeah,
Okay.
they're just gonna wait for me to be done because I always warn them to not knock when I'm in here.
Yeah. Okay, so cross-reference Philippians 2:15. It says, so that you may be blameless and pure children of God without blemish, though you live in a crooked and perverse society in which you shine as lights in the world by holding on to the word of life, so that on the day of Christ, I will have a reason to boast that I did not run in vain nor labor in vain. Wow.
Mm,
So it's agreeing the fact that we still live in a crooked and perverse society,
yeah.
but we are also called to shine as lights in the world. How? By holding on to the word of life, you know, the word of God in community, having a relationship with Jesus Christ, so that on the day of Christ, I will have a reason to boast that I did not run in vain nor labor in vain. Wow.
Mm,
And if people want to read the rest of it, Philippians chapter 2, there's a section there that says light in the world and models for ministry. Awesome. Well, thanks, Loretta. Should we invite
yay.
them to subscribe?
Yes. I mean, you guys can't see me, but please subscribe, like,
Yeah, please do.
and
Maybe,
comment.
yeah. And let us know how it's been encouraging for them to
Yeah,
listen.
we'll love to hear that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Loretta.
Thank you. I know you can't see me, but I've got my sorry face on.
Girl, I feel you though. I feel you.
This is so crazy. Oh my god. Anyways,
All
hopefully
right, I'm
my
going to
power
turn
comes
off.
back soon.
Yeah, I'm going to turn this off now.
Okay.
Well,
All
bye.
right.